I used to laugh at the idea of monsters under the bed. I thought it was just something adults told kids to scare them. But let me tell you, I don't laugh anymore. Because I know what lives under there. It all started a few weeks ago. I'd had a rough day, one of those days where you just want to crawl into bed and forget everything. I remember lying there, half asleep, the room quiet, except for the sound of rain tapping against the window. I almost drifted off, until I heard it. At first, I brushed it off, figured it was just a branch scraping against the window. But then I realized it was coming from directly under my bed. My heart started pounding. The sound was faint, almost like nails dragging slowly along wood. I leaned over the edge of the bed, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was causing it. I pulled out my phone and shone the flashlight under the bed, half expecting to find some random object making the noise. But there was nothing there. Just darkness, shadows, and the worn wooden floor. I stayed still, listening, and the scratching stopped. I figured it was my imagination. I laughed it off and went back to bed. But just as I was about to fall asleep, the sound started again. Scritch, scritch, scritch. It was louder this time, persistent. And then I heard something that sent chills down my spine. A soft, whispering voice. "I see you." I froze. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It was like every horror story I'd ever heard, all those ridiculous tales I used to laugh about. I told myself, "You're imagining things. You're just tired." But it was so real. I spent the rest of the night sitting up in bed, listening, waiting. I must have eventually fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, it was morning and the room was quiet, peaceful even. I thought maybe it was over, but the next night, the scratching started again, and then I saw them. Thin scratch marks on the wooden floor right under my bed. I'd never noticed them before. The marks looked deep, like something had been clawing at the wood from underneath, and for years. Each night, the scratching got louder, closer, more frantic. I tried everything. I blasted music, wore headphones, anything to drown out the sound. But no matter what, I could still hear it, clear as day, echoing in my room. And every night, that voice whispered to me, taunting, "I see you." It didn't sound human, but it didn't sound animal either. It was something else, something that shouldn't exist in the real world. And then, one night, things changed. I was lying in bed, as usual, hoping I could ignore it. But the scratching was so loud, it felt like it was right in my ears. I held my breath, praying it would stop. But then, I felt something cold wrap around my ankle. Before I could even scream, I was being pulled down, hard. It felt like icy fingers clawing at my skin, dragging me towards the edge of the bed. I grabbed the bedpost, hanging on with everything I had, feeling this thing, pulling me down. I could hear it breathing now, this low, raspy sound getting louder and louder. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to kick free. I scrambled back up onto the bed, heart pounding, and looked down, only to see the shadows under the bed moving, twisting like they were alive. And I heard it again, that voice, whispering even louder this time. "You can't hide forever." I stayed up the rest of the night with all the lights on, watching that shadow, waiting for something else to happen. But nothing did. When dawn finally came, the shadows under the bed seemed normal. I thought maybe it was all in my head. After that, I refused to sleep in that room. I slept on the couch, with every light in the house on. But even there, sometimes I'd hear it. That faint scratching sound, like it was following me, waiting. I tried to tell myself it wasn't real, that I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew. I'd seen something that had been waiting for me under my bed for who knows how long. So, if you ever hear scratching under your bed, or a voice calling your name in the dark, don't ignore it. Because once it knows you're listening, it might never leave you alone. Like and subscribe if you dare to keep the lights off tonight.